day, everyone. My name is Awoniyi, and it's a great honor to discuss today at the Bioethics Roundtable, especially when we'll be reflecting on a very deep theme but often overlooked. And the topic we are going to be discussing today is the place of love in ethical reasoning. But I would firstly like to begin with a question. This question has actually bothered me more than once while reflecting on this topic. And the question is, what if ethics without love is the same or is just like law without mercy? Because we live in a world whereby our actions are judged, our judgments are often passed, and all in the name of doing the right thing. But have we truly asked ourselves, being honest, that sometimes doing the right thing that we claim to do can end up hurting real people? Let's think of the social media justice, whereby someone messes up and people don't stop until they are ruined. Or, for instance, doctors delivering brutal truths to patients without any form of empathy. For instance, a child of a deceased or a daughter of a deceased, the doctor telling the child, we've lost her, just like that, without no sign of empathy. So how do we look at this topic? And this is why we have come for this Bioethics channel. This topic matters because in the real sense, most people see love as being emotional, as being a soft feeling. But it is not just soft, it is what truly makes ethics human. So now, to understand this concept very deeply, I would love to conceptualize what ethical reasoning is all about and what love is about. I read, ethical reasoning is the process of systematically analyzing what is morally right, using logic, principles, theories, duties and consequences. While love, on the other hand, it is a very simple a simple topic to others, but it is very complex. It is about deliberate goodwill, a commitment to the good of another, often without self-benefit, which C.S. Lewis described as agape, a love that is sacrificial, that is decision-based, often without self-benefit. Even Christianity, like the book of Corinthians, describes love as patient, kind, and not self-seeking. Now I move back to the topic, the place of ethics, the place of love in ethical reasoning. The first thing I want us to do is imagine this case whereby in an hospital setting, a nurse is left with just a ventilator and there are two patients who need it. One is a child, the other is an elderly person, for instance. Now in this case, whose should that ventilator be used on? What are we supposed to consider? Is it the age, the chance of recovery, or even something deeper? Because the truth is, people don't only remember what we did, but they also remember how we made them feel. I'll be going in with some philosophical insights, like some philosophers, to make us better understand this topic. The first philosopher I'll be using is Immanuel Kant, who prioritizes this duty. Immanuel Kant, for instance, will tell us that we should always ensure to say the truth always. But let us look at a case whereby if we say that truth at that particular point in time, maybe in making that moral decision, is going to cause more harm than good. Now, the love in us, when we are making that ethical decision, will tell us that maybe we should not do that, at least for that day, because we can save lives in that process. For instance, a woman who chooses not to press charges against a teenager who stole from her, for a society, we might decide to say, let him pay for what he has done for stealing, right? But we have not considered what actually prompted that child into doing such decision. Maybe he's actually suffering or any other thing. But the love in us will tell us that we can actually make this child a better person in the future and actually examine more. So I'll also use like a very relatable example in South Africa. Many victims forgave their abusers through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and that was not something that was like an easy thing, but because of the love in like their moral decision, it has helped them. Even when we look at today's Nigeria, we will stop just to help victims on the road even when it is dangerous. It is not logic in this process, it is not just their logic, it is love in action. Now, to conclude what I am about to say, logic actually matters, rules matters, duties matters. All of these are things that truly matters, but when these rules, when this logic do not carry love, maybe it's not ethical yet. So I will leave us with this, that in a world that is flooded with policies, data and debates, that maybe what we actually need in our ethics is not more of knowledge but more of love, more of arts. So to the discussion, I love to ask whether we feel that love is a liability or a necessity in our moral reasoning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for bringing us about the place of love in ethical reasoning.
Yes.
And then you also, some of the things you mentioned are treating towards situation ethics.
Yes.
Saying that rules are not absolute. It depends on the situation. It's even saying lying is wrong. It cannot be absolute wrong. There may be situations where you may need to tell a lie to save humanity. And then that action is motivated by your love for that person you are saving by even telling lie.
Yes.
Yeah. But the way we take rules, principles, in religion, we tend to take them to be absolute. When you say, for example, extramarital sex is wrong, a woman might engage in extramarital sex to save the husband who is dying. So in that case, can our religious thinking or reasoning see that act to be right in that situation?
Yes.
But you also touched the area of love as the basic principle in bioethics. Yes. We look at the ethical principle of beneficence, the act that will benefit others. So when we act under the inspiration of love, that will benefit the other person, you do something to make the other person happy, to put happiness, to make the person benefit, to minimize harm and maximize benefit for the other person. But when you look at such actions that manifest in kindness, empathy, and emotional intelligence, it tends to bring us to a conflict situation when you were talking about this allocation of scarce healthcare resources. It's a situation whereby you're talking about ventilators. Let's assume you have people are queuing for kidney transplant, and you have about 10 people queuing for kidney transplant. You have someone of 90 years old, 80 years old, 7 years old, 20 years old. I have only 2 kidneys that are available for transplant. And then the love that motivates you to take action, decision to give it to someone that have higher life experience, like let's say 7 years and 20 years, and denying it for the person that is 80 and 90. I wonder what love is this based? Is there justice in that allocation of scarce healthcare resources? Now we are denying the elderly people. Don't they also have the right to live? The elderly people, we deny them of that kidney, we give to the young person. And now the life of the elderly person is not the same as the life of the young person. So on what basis will we judge this action to say is action motivated by love and then considering it as ethical? Prof, maybe you help us in this situation.
Well, me, I have problem with Joseph Fletcher anchoring ethics on love. Because no matter how you look at it, whether it is failure, whether it is errors, Whatever you call love deals with the heart. And like I usually tell my daughters, and my son, my children, and anybody that cares to listen to me, I like to relate to someone whose reason governs his love, directs his or her love. Such people will understand with you and discuss with you maturely. If you get into relationship with people who are one-way love, there is a very thin line between love and hate, love and loathing. Very thin line, because don't forget the issue of duality. In this universe that we live in, we are governed by opposite laws of love and hate, like and dislike. And so when you anchor ethics on love, love can get sour anytime, and if it does, it becomes imminent hate. So that's why I don't really agree with Fletcher that ethics can be anchored on love. Because when I look at the question of situationism that Fletcher is trying to talk about or wrote about, and I come back to my Igbo tradition, and I connect with the Yoruba tradition, in which I have lived longer, more than my Igbo tradition, I see that room is made for. There's no, we are not, our culture is not extreme, it's not adamant. And that's why you see when two couples are married and they are not given birth, the Ebi will come, Omonna will come and tell the husband to move out. If the husband moves out and brings a child and they satisfy that that child belongs to the man, they will now call the wife, they will send message to the people of the woman and say, yeah, we are the one that told our son to go out, so reason. Now we want your daughter to also go out. They will give her permission to go out. And because they gave her permission, if she goes out and comes back and brings a child, yes, if it's a child of the house, we gave her permission. So you discover this extremity of, don't forget that our culture is that of the culture of complementarity, reciprocity. So the question that I think what Fletcher was trying to bring into Western ethics was what was lacking in it, complementarity, which exists in our own. So instead of me talking about love, because if I look at the principle of Afologu, Watunwosi, it is the principle of Yoruba, Watunwosi, it's the principle of balance. Whatever you are going to do, look at the right, look at the left, and walk towards the middle. So our worldview is not absolute, that whatever is true and is invaluable. Whatever is lie and is invaluable. Our worldview is not like that. It allows for it. But the other thing is that it also allows, there's an official way of doing it. Because the concept of agu, issue, agu in Igbo, and issue in Yoruba, is about intrigues and mischief. And in intrigues and mischief, right can become wrong can become right. Is it not true? So I would rather talk for me, most people don't know that Heidegger answered Fletcher technically in his Ethics of Authenticity when he discussed the question of conscience. I would rather talk of conscience than love, because conscience is the ability to harmonize reason with emotion. That's conscience. Conscience is the ability to harmonize reason with emotion, the head and the heart working together. That's conscience. Because love is of the heart. Idealizing, regulating is of the head. And so in conscience, both the head and the heart are working together, in which I have an emotion, I raciocinate on it, I deliberate on it, I create a balance and say, no, I may you to Timba Sheba or the Makoda. That's conscience. And conscience brings about care. It brings about empathy. So I would rather I'd rather talk about care, empathy than pity, sympathy. Because if the problem of the nice people who is practicing love towards, but at the end of the day, you are destroying the person. So that's the problem I have with the question of Fletcher and issue of this. So I would rather come from the point of view of conscience, which we call Nkurunkobi, seed of the heart, that works by the way of Ikpeobi, evaluation of the heart. The Yorubas will talk about a real conscience, a real, and from a real say Iberi, questioning yourself. So before you do a thing, you sit down, you reflect, you ask yourself questions, you evaluate it, you objectify it, you look at it and say, no, if I do like this, if I step this way, it will destroy a lot of things. Let me swallow my pride and go and say sorry. That's conscience. That's not love. And it's when you create that balance, that's what brings about justice. That's my
Thank you, Prof. Prof, I think we can still extract conscience from what Fletcher says. And because Fletcher in his seminal work, Situation Ethics, the New Morality, he talks about a situation whereby principles, rules could be set aside so that love and reason can prevail when the chips are down. So when we look at that, it is towards rational conscience you're talking about. The conscience now, rational conscience, because Fred talks about love and reason to prevail. When under certain situations, we allow love and reason. Then love, in that sense, is like it's a mental attitude or a disposition of the mind that manifests in beneficent attitude towards the beloved. Then reason, in that case, is a careful estimate or evaluation, just like I say, of the moral situation, so they take decision that is fitting under that context. So when you marry that love and reason, I think you arrive at rational conscience, which you are talking about. So it can also be extracted from Fletcher.
And you can extract it. You can extract it. But that's what I'm saying is that if I look at what Fletcher is saying, I think he was trying to deal with the problem, lack of complementarity. Because I remember when I was growing up, I was in secondary school, Form 2. My father called me the dead of the night and asked me, who is my girlfriend? And so I caught fright. This man that used to flog my bumbo, and he flogged me most of all the children because I was the most stubborn. And so this man won't push me into trouble. He now told me, he said, my son, don't be afraid. He went and brought the bundle of Mpara, Bankere that he used in flogging me. He gave it to me. He said, I'm no longer flogging you. You have not entered secondary school. You have done Form 1, you posted good results. You've done Form 2, you posted good results. You are going to Form 3. You are growing biceps. If I start flogging you, your hands immediately do like this. You can remove my teeth. I'll start cursing you. So I'm no longer flogging you. Start flogging yourself. Then he made sure it was, at that time we used to finish our this thing around that September, and we would start going back to school around December. So, and he told me, he said, I should look into the sky. He took me out, and I looked at the sky. He said, you can be like that fathomless star, but you are your problem. Temptations will come. Distractions will come. It is left for you to balance the middle. I said, how? He said, yes. He said, there is something I want to tell you about this white man's way that they have brought to us. I said, what is it? He said, what the white man has brought to us is good, bad is bad. Are you getting it? He said, it's not like that in our culture. So in our culture, there is good, bad, and taboo. Arrow.